Live from Mumbai, this is In the Spotlight. I'm your host, Ameya Barvé. It's a new year, a new season, and a brand new name for the podcast. But the same incredible family members will continue to be my esteemed guests on the show. Now, the Barvé family is incredibly lucky to have not one, but two who serve in the armed forces. And I thank you very much for your service. And today I'm super honored to have Major Adwait Phadke as my guest. Adwait is married to Shruti, who is the daughter of Nandini. Nandini and I are first cousins, which makes me and Shruti first cousins once removed. So let's get started. Let's put Adwait in the spotlight. So, hi Adwait, welcome to the
Yeah,
show. How are you?
yeah, I'm doing really nice. Really excited about this thing. So yeah,
That's awesome. Thank you for being on the show. I know when we are recording, it's around your anniversary week, and you're supposed to be spending the time with Shruti. But we are very thankful that you decided to carve out 2.5 hours to spend some
yeah,
time with us. So I'm not sure Shruti would appreciate it that much, but we are happy you're on the show nevertheless. I don't think people need to be introduced to you, but just to set the stage, why don't you tell everyone who you are, what you do, and a little something about you.
yeah. Okay. About this thing, I think Shruti would be really happy because she knows that. I've just told her that I have a call with you, so she knows probably for what it is. So I don't think so. She would have a problem, and maybe she's also looking forward to listening to this podcast. Like I really hope so that she does. So I'm Advait and I am married to Shruti. That is how I am part of the extended Paranjpe or the Barvé family which is there. I was born in Pune itself and I have lived my entire life in Pune till about college and before I joined the army. So my schooling, my diploma, my engineering, all I have done in Pune itself. And I have stayed also in Sadashivpet. So like I have not switched a lot of homes. So I was born in Sadashivpet. Like the hospital in which I was born, that was also in Sadashivpet. So like I'm a proper hardcore Sadashivpeti, you can you can say. And I did schooling from Symbiosis School. So that time my sister was in that same school. So that is how my parents thought that okay, एक ही रिक्षामधनं जात आहेत दोघं जण तर लेट देम गो सो दॅट दे डोंट हॅव टू वरी अबाउट एनिथिंग एल्स लेटर ऑन की दोन वेगळ्या स्कूलमध्ये वेगळ्या रिक्षा अँड ऑल दोज थिंग्स अँड आफ्टर दॅट आय वॉन्टेड टू डू marine engineering because I wanted to join the navy as a kid, the merchant navy, not the defense navy as such, but merchant navy. So I really wanted to do marine engineering, but my parents were like, "No, you first have to do. Do you do diploma?" So they were like, "If तुला engineering करायचंच असेल तर आधी diploma कर, then you join marine engineering because it is like for marine engineering also you do 12 plus 4 years of that or diploma and 3 years of that." So that is how I ended up doing diploma, and after that I did mechanical engineering. And while doing that, then the dream of joining marine engineering or merchant navy somewhere took a backseat, and then I decided to join the army itself. And I have been in a joint family throughout my life. So earlier we had like same like Aadhar, which was there. That earlier it was a bungalow where everybody used to be like stay together. But later on we realized that as me and my two cousins were growing up in the same house, there were a shortage of rooms and everything. So we decided to demolish that thing and get a 3 floor building so that everybody has their own floor, own rooms, privacy, and everything. So still we are in a joint family where Ajji is there now, Azoba is not there, Ai Baba are there, and Kaku is there because Kaka we lost him like 3 years back. So that's a
Okay.
little brief about myself. Yeah, I married Shruti in 2020, and now she is also a part of the family itself. Though we are not staying together, unfortunately, earlier because of my job, and now because I'm still figuring out what I want to do in life. So she is in Mumbai because I don't want her to quit her job and come with me, and we both are wondering that what we want to do ahead in life. So now she is in Mumbai, but hopefully in maybe next 2 months or so, we'll be either in Pune or in Mumbai or maybe some other place where the destiny wants us to be. but maybe next 2 months we'll start staying together.
Yeah. No, that's a great overview, and thank you for that. And I do know that you are in this in between transitional phase, right? Because I know you are in the army, and we'll talk about that. And you now left it, and you're now looking at your next great journey, your next great adventure, right? But we'll talk about that. But one thing I did not know was how similar your family was to the other families. Like they're all living in one family together. Then went through the redevelopment, and of course, I think compared to the Barves, you're a slightly smaller family, but a lot
Yeah.
of similarities there, right? I think also the other similarity is I've talked to quite a few people who have spent all their life being a parleyker, right? Like they're born in Parley, brought up in Parley, studied in
Yeah.
Parley, they now live in Parley. So I think you went through a very similar journey, right? Like it's all
Yeah.
Sadashiv Pet, Puneri. So there's a lot of similarities there. So
Yeah.
let's sort of roll it back and talk about your early years, right? So what was life like growing up, when you were in your early days of school?
Like I said that we were a part of a joint family, but that was just like my grandfather who shifted with his two sons and a daughter to a separate house. But if you consider the extended family, like the Barve family, which is their extended, so that is a very huge family. So like last time I think we had met at a wedding like about 4 5 months back. So we are a total of 95 people together, including the kids and everything, but we are not as close as probably you guys are, like meeting every Sunday and everything. So we usually meet only on week maybe functions or marriages or only at those points, but we are still pretty close. Like my father's generation, though they are very close, but as those brothers started moving out, we lost touch and we got busy with our own lives. So that is why there is a slight gap in between us. But other than that, when I was a kid, yes, we used to have fun. But since early days only, I have had a lot of friends. So where I used to stay in the colony, we were like a group of 8 or 10 kids together. So we used to play cricket and all sorts of games that we play as kids. And other than that, I had a lot of friends in school, and that time every evening I was usually engaged in playing some of the other sport. Like as a kid I have played cricket, so I used to play cricket for Deccan Club. Then I have played judo, so I have a district silver medal in judo. And I have played badminton also at district level, so I have constantly been engaged in playing some of the other kind of sports which is there. And other than that, I used to meet Tai and Aishu. So my two cousins which are there. So we used to have a lot of fun in the house itself. So I was one of those brats, you can say, as a kid also. And my younger sister which is there, Aishwarya. So there was like a fear at our home that मी आणि आयशू जर आम्ही दोघं कुठे असेल तर दॅट मीन्स दे आर अप टू समथिंग. लाईक घरात जर या दोघांचा आवाज येत नसेल, सो एव्हरीबडी यूज टू लुक आउट फॉर अस की अरे हे कुठं गेले कुठं गेलेलो. सो लाईक दे न्यू की if we both are missing, then that means there is something wrong. So they can't be like they are sleeping or they are having a quiet time. They are up to some mischief. So that is why, and because of that मी लहानपणी मार पण खूप खाल्ला आहे. So
So these cousins that you spend most of your childhood with, were they also in the same school with you, or did you have like a separate set of friends? You mentioned you played cricket with your colony, right? So were they like separate, or were they sort of all merged into one big group?
no, so me, my elder cousin Maitrey, and my younger cousin Aishwarya. So we used to stay together in the same house. So we three were in the same school. So Tai was one batch senior to me, and Aishu was two batches younger to me. So me and Tai have spent a lot of school days also like writing exams together. So in our school, it used to be like कि one junior batch and one senior batch, they used to sit together. So at times me and my sister used to be partners, or maybe just a bench पुढे किंवा मागे. We used to sit for exams also. In colony, all three of us used to play together with other friends from the colony.
So let's talk about that 7, 8, 9, 10th, right? You mentioned that you're also very good at sports. You gave a whole list of
Yeah.
sports that you excelled at, and I'm guessing you were doing that as part of school. So was there a challenge for you to focus on studies as well as the sports, or where was your interest, and where did you end up finding you spending the most time? Sports, studies, or a mix of both?
So for me, it was always about sports because I know I was not that good at studies in school. Like I was good at studies, but the only problem which I had was writing the exam. So after a point, I used to get bored of writing, and I used to leave my papers incomplete. So during till my final exam, like the board 10th board exams, I don't remember writing a single exam or a single paper from start to end. So if I know that okay now I have written enough to pass, I used to get bored and I used to stop writing, or maybe a few marks extra just to make sure that I pass every year. So even my mom and my dad used to like shout at me that this is not the way you write exam just because you get bored, and only passing is that is not the agenda, just to pass. And like the agenda is to gain knowledge. So that I have. I was sure कि शिकायत है ना, the knowledge जे आहे ते मिळतंय, so I'm fine with that. So why do I have to express in words? And literally at that time I used to feel, because I used to play a lot of sports. So my hand used to start paining. Like एवढं लिहून लिहून ना my hand used to start paining. So I used to stop writing. But in school also, like we have different houses. So we had four houses: red, yellow, blue, green, like basic colors. So I was in the red house, and there's not a single sports which I have not played for my house also. So that's how I used to get a bit of excused also from the exams and everything, because my house teacher which was there, so the teacher or the professor managing the house which was there, so she knew that okay he's playing sports, so in recesses also I used to go. Probably there was additional practice kept after the school, then also I used to join, so I used to get a bit of leeway also in school. So that also I've played in school, and outside also I've played. Like for Deccan Club I have played badminton with Town Hall, which is Hirabag ground which is there. And judo I used to play at Shivaji Mandir in Pune.
Interesting you mentioned houses, because when I did, my schooling has been sporadic throughout the years. I did some in Nigeria, some in India, back again, back and forth. But I spent the last 8, 9, 10, 10 in a school in Villeparle West, St Xavier's. But we also had houses there, and that's why it jog my memory. So we had the same four houses based on colors, and as it so happened, I was also in the red house. So I think that's something we have in common. Both were part of the red house when we were in school. Your interest and love was in sports, not so much on the studies. Is
Yeah.
that where the love and the attention and the desire to go to merchant navy came up from you, or what was that what made you decide that what, I want to go to the merchant navy side of things?
So it was nothing related to sports or anything. Like I don't clearly remember why I wanted to go to Mochinimi, but faintly I remember is I had watched some movie wherein that there was some person in that movie who was in Merchant Navy, and I saw him in that Merchant Navy uniform, and that is where I fell in love with that uniform. So I was like, yeah, I want to wear this thing someday, and that is how I wanted to join Merchant Navy. So it was basically for that uniform. So I did not know what they do, what is their lifestyle or anything. But then slowly I had met my father's friend also who was in Navy that time. So he retired. I think he was there in Navy for maybe just about 6 or 7 years. But he also told me a lot that okay, you are on ship and then you get to see a lot of places, and he just gave me a brief about it, and then I got more excited that okay, it's not just the uniform, but I'll get to see the entire world also. Like you're on the ship and there's a thrill in the on the ship, and you'll get to travel the world. So that was also another agenda of joining Merchant Navy.
Got it. So it's the attraction to the uniform, right? That's
Yeah.
that's what it was. That yeah. I mean, I've had the similar thing myself. Like I remember when we were growing up, we used to love getting dressed up as the police uniform and other stuff just to play police, because again, it was the attraction to the uniform. So it's very similar. So when you are on your way out of school, and I know you talked a little bit about that your parents wanted you to focus more on the diploma before you did anything,
Yeah.
practical about joining either the navy or the armed forces. But had you set a sort of journey or a milestone approach for yourself, that this is what I want to do when I finish 10th, this is what I want to do after 12th, and did you have like a goal for a merchant navy, or what was that thought process in your mind at that time?
So at that time, even though I wanted to join Merchant Navy, I was very upfront about it. But my mom and my dad, they were like, they did not want me to join Merchant Navy, or rather, nobody from my family wanted me to join Navy, because till now nobody from my family has did a job or anything, because we had Initially, we had our family business of milk and milk products, ice cream and mithai and everything. And then my father and my kaka, they started construction business. So my, like a typical father, he wanted his kid to join his business and then look after the business. So he was of that thought process. And my mom did not want me to join merchant navy because she was like, "Ki, tu ekta sa hai, and if you join navy, then for 6 7 months you'll be out. There'll be nobody at home," and that aspect of life. So that is why I think that they wanted to divert my attention. That is why they were like, "Ki, nahi, tu adi engineering kar, then you do whatever you want to." But I had read a lot about it, so there was a way to get into merchant navy after doing mechanical engineering also. So I thought that okay, I'll just go with the flow right now and let parents think that okay, I'm working on the path they want me to travel, and later on once I complete my engineering, then I can just join the merchant navy and then I can do whatever I want to. But so that is how I got into diploma, because I did not want to do 11th and 12th, because I knew that after 12th again you have to score really good in the boards, then you have to give those, there are thousands exams like I think J triple E or AI triple E, JEE, and those central CET, central engineer, or C something central engineering exams which are there. So I was like, it is better to opt for diploma, and after diploma you get direct admission in the second year itself, so you don't have to do much running around and appearing for a lot of exams. And I was not keen on like I want to join some IIT or I want to go to BITS Pilani or something like that. I just wanted to do engineering from a decent college, because my aim was to join merchant navy, so I wanted to do that from a good college.
Let's talk about those diploma days, right? So obviously, you know, playing a lot of sports in school, not really focusing on studies. Now suddenly it's an engineering. Were you able to keep up with the sports and the activities while you were doing a diploma, or did you find that your energies now had to be channeled elsewhere?
Yeah, so during diploma, like you said, that it was completely new, because from in school also, like whatever you're studying, so be it history, be it geography, be it maths, you have some reference to maybe the previous year, that what you have studied, what you have to study. So you have a generic idea or a generic template in your mind. Okay, this is how I have to go. But diploma was something totally new. The subjects were totally new, and diploma is more practical oriented, so it is not theory oriented. So even if you understand the concept and write the concept the way you have understood, you score marks. So that is where I found it a little bit simple, because I can understand the concept, but like it is said in Three Idiots also, like I am not someone like Chatur who can mug up things, but I can understand the concept and I can write it, or more of an application part of it. So that is where I started enjoying diploma, and that is how I got a little bit distant from playing sports. Though I used to try playing sports every weekend, like Saturday, Sundays, we had a group of friends. We used to book a court in Pune and we used to try to play badminton. Or every Sunday, we used to book some turf and play cricket for some time. Judo, yes, judo, I had to quit because of college and everything. But cricket and badminton, since we could book the courts and stadiums outside, that was still there. And badminton, I still play at times with my friends. We go out and we still play badminton. But diploma was fun in that way, because I was getting to learn a lot new things, and basically it was all practical oriented, and the professors were also good. So even after college hours, we used to sit, we used to use the equipments, and we used to do the experiments and everything. So it was fun. So that is why I was not so much unhappy that I'm not able to play sports and have to concentrate on studies, because I was having fun, or started to have fun with that.
Right. So yeah, so like you said, you still stay in touch with sports. You will not be representing it. It may not be like a formal training, but you were in touch with sports because that's what you enjoyed doing. But it also sounds like you enjoyed the whole diploma aspect of the studying aspect, right? Now,
Yeah.
talk to me about your friend circle here. You're a very small group of friends in school and college and cousins, right? And now in college. So, did your friend circle broaden? Did it shrink? What was your social life like when you were in the diploma?
So even though my friend circle was like, my colony friends were small, but since school, I have had a lot of friends, and thankfully, I am still friends with around eight of them. So we are still together. So when I went in diploma, two of my school friends were in the same diploma college. So we continued with that, and we made a few more friends in diploma. But like in any guy group, it happens that you after a point in time, you don't have any college friends separate group, school friends separate group. They all merge together. So that is how my I have an extended group of, like, we are around, the group which we have is around 33 or 34 people. We are together in the same group. So that is how big a friend circle I have. And since school, it has been like that. So that is why I've never been like without friends. Or even when I went into the army, that is
Right.
where also I made a lot of friends. But since we were together, even if I was not here for about 11 years of my life, but we are still thick of friends with everyone. Like, all of us are really together. And now the spouses have also
So you're
joined.
still in
And
touch with them.
yeah, I'm still in touch with them. So we keep on meeting like every
Oh, that's
week or
awesome.
every midweek. Yeah.
Made a lot of group of friends and really happy to hear that you're still in touch with them. Trust me, keep a hold of them, because you'll find that as you grow on, go on in your life, the friend circle starts to drop, and then it becomes more
Yeah.
difficult to make new friends. So just keep them. But I'm also guessing that in diploma. So actually, let me step back. So you did a diploma from Symbiosis, and then did you swap colleges for doing the actual engineering degree, or was diploma the end of your engineering education?
No, so school I did from Symbiosis School. Diploma I did from Sau
Oh,
Venutai Savan Polytechnic, which is a part of the Siahgad umbrella. So Sau Venutai Savan
okay,
Polytechnic is the diploma college which is under the Siahgad umbrella. And after diploma, I did
okay,
my B mechanical from Siahgad Academy of Engineering. So
yeah,
in that also,
got it. So,
Ashish is a one course senior to me in college also. So Ashish was in mechanical engineering in Siahgad Academy, and I was one batch junior to him in the same college. So we did engineering from the same college.
So I know there's a lot of students in the batch, but did you like happen to know him? Did you know of him? Did you interact with each other, or was it like a completely stranger to you at that time?
No, that time I was not aware about Ashish, because in engineering college also I was mostly involved in art circle which is there. So that time there was, since Ashish batch was the first batch to pass out of the college and mine was the second batch. So there was no art circle as such in the school, like the theater which is there. So there are
Hmm.
uh, Virodya and Purushottam Karandak which are held in Pune, where all the colleges have their plays and they participate. So we did not have that in college. So that is where my batch started setting up that, and we did a lot of theater in college. So I was mostly involved in theater and art circle related activities, and Ashish was more into, I think he was doing some competitions related to Baha and making automobiles and all those things. So
Right.
he was more into technical part, I was more into theater part.
Yeah. But that's a very interesting point you mentioned, right? You're now branching into the creative and the art side of things, because typically you don't find someone who is, more interested in sports or excels in sports also happens to like an art, or because frankly sometimes it's time, you just don't have the time to do both. So what
Yeah.
was it that attracted you about art, and what art did you specifically do? Was it just organizing, or did you actually do some creative stuff, like either playing a musical instrument or painting or sculpture? What was that focus like?
So what happened in engineering was everything that I learned in engineering was same that I learned in diploma. So diploma gives you a overall highlight of everything that is taught in engineering, like from engineering drawing to maths, maths 1, maths 2, maths 3, you have all those subjects. You have theory, like from applied mechanics to the machine designing part of it. So I had already covered those subjects in diploma. So I was very confident that okay, I can study for these subjects maybe 3 or 4 days in advance. And I had a friend Swapnil, so he was interested in that. And that time, since I was known in college a lot, so he approached me that this is something that I want to do. And I was the mechanic MESA president, which is there that time in my final year. So that is Mechanical Engineering Students Association, which is there. So I was the president of the Students Association also. So I knew the principal also through the association. So that is why he approached me that okay, if I want to start something like this, so can we do it? So I approached the principal and he also gave a go ahead. So that is how we set up that art circle. And during my final year, I have acted in two plays in Purushottam and Firodia. And I was also, because since we were a very small group and we were just starting, So I was part of direction also. I was partly producing it also, because we had to give money from our pockets, because college was not funding, because college was not sure whether we'll be doing good or not. So college was like, you first perform, we'll see your performance, and then we'll reimburse the money. So initially we only had to pay everything out of our pockets. So all the wardrobe which was there, so half of it came from my house and some of it came from another friend's house. So partly production, then what costume designing, writing the dialogues, everything we were only doing on our own. So yeah, that was fun which we did in final year. So
I was just thinking the same thing. That must have been such a terrific, fun experience for you, right?
yeah,
To branch out, go out. You got the responsibility. You have to go out and prove yourself. So
yeah.
you learned so much because you did everything, like you mentioned. You did production, you did direction, you did acting. So you did everything. But did that not spur you into like doing more of it down the road, or was there some interest to do it, or were you like, okay, this is it, 1 year I've done it, scratch that itch, now I'm done? What was your affair, no, I don't want to say affair, but what was your interaction with the art side of things, like something you wanted to pursue or not really?
So like in my final year itself, so before I passed my or I got my final year engineering results, I had already cleared the army SSB which was there. So I did not have an other option like pursuing the acting career or maybe that part of it. If I
Hmm.
wouldn't have cleared my army exam, then probably I would have thought about venturing into that part of life, because even that was something which I had liked, and I wouldn't have mind pursuing that part of the career. But since I had already cleared this and my focus was clear that army is something that I want to do, so that is why I was more focused on giving the SSB and clearing that part of the exams which are there.
Okay. So that's a great insight. In fact, let's just segue into that, right? So I did want to talk to you and ask you about how your attraction to the army came about. I know you said you wanted to go into merchant navy. You were doing mechanical engineering just to be able to get into merchant navy. But somewhere or the other, it sort of shifted and you put emphasis and focus on joining the army, right? So what
Yeah.
happened there? What was your journey like? Can you take us through?
So army also, it happened to me, which something that I had not planned. I had actually planned to join the Air Force. So what happened that I had filled form of Air Force and Army both, because I was very much fascinated that since my parents said that no, you will not join the Merchant Navy in the final engineering also, they were like, you are not doing any other courses, because Merchant Navy courses are quite costly. So even for education loan, I needed a guarantor as my father, but he denied. So other option was, then I thought that okay, even I'm fascinated by the Air Force also, because finally you also get to wear the uniform also. So I filled the form of Air Force and for the Army itself, because for Air Force I had to give the CDS exam, which is the Central Defense Services exam, and for Army, since I was from the technical background, I did not have to give any written exam. So that form I had filled with another friend, which is the Rohit. So we both filled a form together and that we sent. So I initially got a call for Army SSB, and I went to the SSB. I cleared my SSB. During this thing was happening, I had given my CDS exam. I had cleared my CDS exam also for the Air Force entry. But that was not a technical entry, that was the regular entry. But Army was a technical entry. So short service technical entry. So I had cleared that, and I thought that okay, if I have got something with me, I think I should join the army rather than waiting for Air Force, because SSB is something which is very tricky. So if I have cleared the army SSB, it is not sacrosanct that I will clear the Air Force SSB. And even the SSB which are conducted at three places, so Allahabad, Bhopal, and Bangalore. So even if I clear it at Bangalore, it is not sure that I will clear it in Bhopal or in Allahabad. If you are in the army and you get a call for Air Force SSB, the army allows you to attend at SSB. If you clear it, then you can join the Air Force. If you don't clear it, you fall back to the army. So this was something which I was aware, because I had spoken to a lot of people that time. So that is how I joined the army. And in January of 2012, so I joined OTH Chennai, that is Officers Training Academy Chennai, for my army training, basic training in September. And in January, I got a call for the Air Force SSB. And when I was planning my entire move, all the officers which are there, so there is like a sort of small internal rivalry, like every person has in a small company or anywhere, that you are the best and rest everybody is not that good. So everybody told that Air Force is not that good. So why do you want to join Air Force? They don't do anything active operations also. If they were like, if you just want to have fun, and then you can go in the Air Force. Otherwise, if you want to like do the actual work, then you should be in the army. And in those 3 months I had made like really good friends in the army also. So they were also like kind of pestering me that tu humko chhod ke kyun ja raha hai and all these things, and now you want to join Air Force and all those things. So that is why, because of peer pressure, I did not attend the SSB itself. But now looking back, I don't like regret not joining Air Force because I had fun in the army also. So that is how basically I joined the army, and then I stayed in the army itself.
So this SSB, is that just a written exam or is it also like a physical exam?
No, so SSB is conducted over 7 days. So once you go, there are around 1,000 to 1,200 candidates who are selected. So you go, then there is a psychology test. So you are tested on three things basically. One is psychology, one is physical, and other is your personal interview where they check your entire character which is there. So that is in the three phases. So initially, once you go, there is a psychology test. So there are like 5 or 6 tests which are conducted. So there is one situation reaction test where they give you around 45 situations with 4 options. So you have to take there's no correct option. It is like how would you react in a certain situation, and then they are testing you, like cross questioning you in those 45 questions. Like if they ask you a certain question, then they'll, and if you answer it in a certain way, because now there are a lot of books also available, so people study and they come, so they know how to trick the questions which are there. But they are more smart than us, so they put
Right.
cross questions also, and they put it in such a subtle way that you won't understand, okay, this is a cross question for that question. So that is the first test. Then there is a word association test where there's a single word which is flashed on the screen for just 8 or 10 seconds, and you have to write a sentence on that word. It can be of 3 words, not 2 words, anything more than 2 words. So they flash different words, and based on what you write, they come to know whether his attitude, he has a positive attitude, he has a negative attitude, or what kind of attitude he has basically. So that is another test. Then there is a story writing test where you are shown 12 images, like 12 random images. Like you just pick up a newspaper and you see any image in front of you, and you have to write a story about it, that what you think is in the picture. So there are 12 such stories, and 13 story which is there, they just flash a blank page in front of you, and you have to write a story on that blank page. So that is basically up to your imagination, that whatever you want to imagine. So a lot of people usually make mistakes that they try to mug up that story and come, but it is like, it is up to your imagination that you can say whatever you want to in that blank page. And I think there are 2 3, then there is a group discussion. So there is a topic given to you. The final nail in the coffin is the group discussion which is there. So they give you a topic, and there are around 20 25 candidates in one single batch, and they are like fighting because everybody wants to get into the army, or everybody wants to go to the next round probably that time. So everybody's putting their best, people are like shouting, people are trying to force their opinion. So how you tackle that group discussion to clear that, so that is like the final point. Then after that you go to the second part of it, which is the GTO, like group task officer, which is there. So there is, they test you for physical and team activities and a bit of tactical part also. So the physical part is there are 15 obstacles, and in 2 or 3 minutes, I don't remember the time exactly, in 2 3 minutes you have to do those obstacles. So it doesn't matter out of 15, even if you do 10 or even if you do 8, they are just checking your approach. Like if you fail, are you skipping that option and are you going ahead? Are you trying it again? Are you trying it again? And maybe you're trying it 2 3 times. So that is what they are checking attitude. They are not checking whether you are able to complete it or not. Then there is a extempore which is there. A topic is given to you and you have to speak. So basically they are checking, can you speak in front of public. So there is that entire batch of 30 odd people who are there, and you're speaking in front of them. So they are checking your posture, whether you're able to speak to, because finally you have to speak to your men and you have to communicate with them. So they check your communication skills. Then there are a few tactical exercises which are there. So that is the second part. And then there is the third part, which is the personal interview with a senior colonel or a brigadier, which is there. So that happens for about 1.5 hours. So they like really dig deep in your entire life. They ask, like, it is the like the UPSC interview which is there. So they ask you about your life, what have you done, then what are the current affairs which are there, and then maybe probably your opinion on a few things. So that happens for 1.5 hour, and then after you clear that, then there is the final conference round where all the psychology officer, the GTO which is there, the interviewer which are there, they sit together and then they analyze your profile, and that is, so they just call you inside, they just ask you maybe a question or two, and then they send you, and then later on it is revealed that whether you're selected or not. So during my conference, I went inside, I sat down on the chair, the all the three officers looked at me and they're like, Adwait, I'm like, yes, like, yeah, you can go. So they did not ask me single question. So I was inside that room maybe just for not even for 3 minutes. I just went inside, sat on the chair, they asked me my name and they sent me out. So as soon as I came out, the हवलदार विच वाज देयर हु वाज इन चार्ज ऑफ अस, ही सेड दैट कि साहब आपका तो होगा ही नहीं, बिकॉज़ आपको तो अंदर जाके सीधा ही आउट कर दिया, मतलब आप तो बिल्कुल ही गए हो, मतलब ये बात है कि आपका प्रोफाइल बिल्कुल ही खराब होगा इसलिए आपको भगा दिया करके, एंड लिटरली ही यूज्ड दोस वर्ड्स दैट साहब आपका प्रोफाइल बहुत ही खराब होगा इसलिए आपको भगा दिया. So then I was like, so when then we were told to sit inside a room, and then I was just sitting head down on the table because that Havaldar told me that I was not going to get selected. So I was actually not paying attention. So then they called out my, we get those chest numbers which are there. So we have to move around with those chest numbers. So he called out chest number 37. So I was not paying attention and that point of time because I was in that thing that okay, मेरा तो होगा ही नहीं. So then the guy behind me, he pushed me कि अबे तेरा number ले रहा है करके. So then I stood up. So that officer who was there, he had called my number 2 or 3 times. So I stood up and like, yes sir. He was like, you don't want to join the army? I'm like, no sir, I want to join. So then why are you not coming here? But I've called out your name thrice. Seems that you don't want to join. So I ran to him. So out of that batch of around 1200, only two of us had got selected that time. So that was something which I thought that like it was really good.
Yeah, that is very credible. You said I was going to ask you what the success rate was, but 2 out of 1200, that is incredible, right? But as I was listening to you, telling me about your whole SSB thing, it occurred to me that is such a comprehensive, expected, right? This is the army after all, the armed forces, right? It
Yeah.
was such a comprehensive test, and what surprised me the most was it wasn't just physical, because in your mind, every time you think of an army entrance, you always think, oh, they make you go through this physical thing a lot, but there's a lot of psychological testing too, because they
Yeah.
want to test your reaction, your gut instincts, right, your approach. So did you spend a lot of time preparing for this, or was this, are they just doing it to, or there is no way you can prepare for it? What was your approach like to just preparing for the SSB entrance exam?
So for the SSB preparation, I had joined a class in Pune. So it is Apex Careers is a class. So I did that class mostly for the group discussion part of it, and just to get to know what exactly happens in that test, because uh, I had met a few army officers before and I had spoken to them how to go about the SSB part. So the only thing that they had told me was that be truthful. They were like, "Ki, don't hide," because they were he told me that the tests and everything are designed in a such a way that even if you lie about the smallest thing, they'll be able to catch it. So maximum people fail because they prepare a lot from home, they prepare their answers, and then once they go there, they just rattle it out or maybe just write it down on paper what they have studied. So that is not the true identity. And how the tests are, that the psychological test happens in the first, the physical and the team building or the group task which are there happens second, and the interview happens at the end. So by the time you reach the interview is a very senior guy, probably 26 years in the army or probably more than that, and he has got some feedback from the psychology officer which is there studying your profile. So even the interviewing officer kind of cross checks you. So they had told me that whatever happens, don't lie, be yourself, because if you are not yourself, how much ever you prepare, how much ever you fabricate your lies, there will be something that you won't be able to fabricate, and if 1 plus 1 doesn't come to 2, then they'll directly reject you. and once they reject you, then you won't be able to go to that SSB again. So they told that if you just want to know what happens exactly ki नक्की काय काय tests होतात, just to get a hang of it, you join some class. So that is how I joined that class. So there I got to know, okay, what is group discussion, basically how to conduct yourself in a group discussion, because in college you are never a part of group discussions, you are just a part of discussions. So
Yeah.
or probably arguments. So group discussion is a complete different dynamic, so it is nothing like you don't have to argue, how you have to conduct yourself. Then they prepared me for extempore, even though I was like, since I was the MESA president and I had done theater, so I did not have that fear of speaking in front of people. But what they told me is that if you get a topic, how to approach that topic. Like if you get topic like festivals in India, or probably take any festival. So you don't have to talk about the festivals, or you don't have to talk about just that topic. You have to talk holistically. Okay, then how does that thing is uniting the country, or probably how it is helping the economics of the country, or how it is helping the people, or you have to derive some positive conclusion out of that topic. So they said every topic which is there, it is planned in a way that you can get to a conclusion, or probably it is helping somebody, or probably there is some good outcome out of it. So try to find out that, because they give you about 1 or 2 minutes to prepare, and there are three baskets which are kept. So one is like a very easy topic, one is like mildly easy, and one is very hard topic. So he also told me that if you select very hard topic, it doesn't matter, that your chances of selection depend upon that. The officer who was there, he was like, you select the easiest topic, but speak in a way that nobody will expect you to speak. So, like I said, festivals of India. So I had selected that topic. That is why I remember that topic. So that is what I had spoken. That was from that easy basket which is there. So when I went and picked up from that easy basket, the officer who was there, GTO, he asked me again that, are you sure you want to pick it from the easiest basket, or you want to pick it up from the hard or the mid basket? I like, no sir, I'm fine with easy basket, because I was sure that even if the topic is easy, I can deliver it in a way that it can make that impact of a hard topic or something like that.
When I'm listening to you, it occurred to me like what your expectations from training was just guidance. You were just looking for
Yeah.
input. So you didn't really do any preparations or ratta or example. You were like, you
No.
were yourself, you were truthful, just reacted, but you were trained on how to react, right? That was the guidance that
Yes.
you got. And that was
Yes.
essentially what made you very successful. So that's again very, very creditable. If only two from 1200, that is an awesome, incredible piece of success rate, right? So does this coincide with your last year of college, or where does this SAB, and then what is the gap between you clearing your SAB and the expectation that you have to join?
I gave my written exam, engineering final year exam, somewhere in June and July. Like in first week of July, the exam got over. My SSB date was 24th of July. So 24th of July, I went to Allahabad, and from 24th of July to 8th of August, I was in Allahabad for the SSB. So SSB was for 7 or 8 days, and once I cleared that, we have a medical exam also over there only. So they check you for medical also. So you have to clear that medical also. Clearing the medical is also very important. So after that medical, then I came back to Pune in August. When as soon as I came back in August, mid August or somewhere, the engineering results were out, and after that on 11th of September, I got the official joining letter from OTA that you have to join, and 15th October my training started. So we had to report on 13th of October to Chennai. So 13th of October I reported to Chennai, and from 15th my official training started, which was for 1 year.
I know you mentioned that your parents were trying to steer you away from doing merchant navy, armed forces. Your dad wanted you to take over their business. So when you went back and told them, I've cleared SSP, I'm going to be joining the army, what was that reaction, right? Was it something you expected? Did you have to like convince them? What was their reaction when they heard that you have cleared SSB and are going to looking to join the army?
So when I had applied, I had not told my parents. So it might sound cliched like Lux movie, but I had not told my parents that I am filling the form. But once I got the letter, that is when I told my parents that okay, I have to go to Allahabad, and this is what I want to do. Let me give it a try, because even I knew the percentage which is there. The passing percentage is very less. So I've told them that okay, let me just give it a try. If I clear it, then let me join it. And as it is, it was a short service joining, so it was for just 10 years and 1 year of training, so totally 11 years. So I told them let me go for 11 years. After 11 years I'll come back and join the business, so that it's a win-win situation for the two of us. So that is when I convinced, and then they agreed to it. So well, to the extent that they came to Allahabad to drop me also, that they were like, you're we'll come and drop you at Allahabad. So they came with me to Allahabad, they dropped me at Allahabad, and then they left. And after that, when I went home, they were really proud that okay, he has done something really good. And by that time, a lot of dad's friends have had also told him that okay, clearing the SSB is not a easy thing, and if he has cleared that, that means he has done something really nice in life. And if he wants to do something other than the regular business which is there, so let him do it. And army was something that nobody from my family had done it, so they were quite supportive about that in the end, probably.
Yeah, because that's what I was expecting you to say, right? Because at the end of the day, parents are parents. They might
Yeah,
voice certain opinions, but they're always there. They always have your back. They're always going to support you, right? They're always going
yeah,
to be proud of you. So so it's no surprise to hear they say that. So that was army, and I'm going to talk. I'm not, depending on what you can talk about, we'll go a little bit into your 11 years of army life. But
yeah.
before we go there, right? So if you had to give like one or two pointers or guidance to say someone who is thinking just like you are, should I join army? Should I not join army? SSB? What are the two or three things you would identify to them, and as from a guidance perspective, what would you say?
So from the guidance perspective, like I've told before also, that if you want to join army, navy, air force, whatever it is, so I will always support you. If I know you personally, if I don't know you also personally, I am always open to give any sort of guidance, because since 11 years I have learned a lot. I have gained enough knowledge that I can guide you through the entire process. Clearing is finally up to you, that how you do there, how you perform, it depends completely on who you are, because I cannot change who you are for the past 21 years of your life that you have lived. But as guidance I can definitely give you. And like I said, that just be yourself once you go for any SSB. Or probably I have learned that in past interviews also where I'm giving, it is better to be yourself rather than just learning something online or reading some books. It is better to just be yourself. If you don't know anything, there's no harm in saying no, that probably right now, but there's a way also to say no, that right now I don't know it, but probably I'll learn more about it, rather than just hitting in the dark or just shooting in the dark which will land nowhere. It is better to just say no. That there were a few questions in my SSB also which I had, the interviewer had asked me, and I had said that sir, right now I don't have more knowledge on this, but these are a few things that I can tell you, just. But that is also fine with those guys, because they don't expect you to know 100%. And other than that, army, navy, air force, really good professions. Like they say itself that we make men out of boys. So at the age of 21, when you join, you are just out of college, you are having fun, probably you are roaming around on bikes at night. From there to joining the army, standing on the borders, taking that responsibility of the team, going on active operations, so it completely changes your perspective 180 degrees. So from being a, how do you say that, not irresponsible asset, but yeah, you are not very responsible in your college, to having responsibility of 10 lives, is like a complete 180-degree transition. But it slowly grows on to you. Like once you do that in the training also, the training is like very tough. It is like every day you have that thought of quitting, but the only thing that matters is you don't quit. So it actually makes you tough also in that way. So if somebody wants to join, it is actually a very good profession. You learn a lot, you get a lot of skills which are required. You learn those skills also. And like I said, like mine was short service. Probably I wouldn't have left the army, but
Yeah.
even you can transition those skills into your life later on. Like a lot of people I know now, after quitting the army, they have become entrepreneurs. They have taken on leadership roles in large corporate companies. So it is not that you don't get jobs in civil also, but you have to plan that transition also. But a very good profession. rather than sitting in corporate companies. Nowadays, I feel that army was much better, kept me physically fit still.
No, so I think that's good. I mean, like you said, your guidance was, just be yourself, be truthful, be open,
Yeah.
be aware of what you're going into. Clearly, it worked for you, right? And I think you're just saying that if it worked for me, it'll probably work for you as well. So I think that's
Yeah.
really good advice. So now let's switch over a little bit. So one of the reasons why you're in the show is because you've actually been nominated as a podcast challenge by not one but two
Yeah.
people, right?
Two people.
So both of them had questions to you about your army life. So I'm just going to pick them up and we'll just go through them. So the first person who nominated you was Atul Jog, right? He basically nominated you or Uday, who also
Yeah.
managed to get, but he wanted anyone from the army life. So his question was basically perception versus reality, right? So when you look at army life from outside, being an army life, there is some perception about what it is. Love for your country, politics aside, there's a lot of different things that happen from outside the country. So what is the perception versus reality, right? That was the question he asked, and then I want to piggyback on that. So I'm sure you've seen the movie Lakshya, starring Hrithik
Yeah.
Roshan, right? Which
Yeah.
which is very similar to the journey you just outlined, where he really
Yeah.
didn't know what he wanted to do, and he ended up joining the army, and that gave him
Yeah.
direction, that gave him focus, that gave him his Lakshya, as they say, right?
Yeah.
But that's a movie, end of the day, right? So when you look at that perception versus reality, what is your take? Is the perception accurate? Is it fairly accurate, or is it very different? What's your opinion on how it's perceived versus the actual reality?
Yeah. So, like, now that you have spoken about the movie, since the movie, there has to be a certain actor at the center stage, and the movie revolves around him. So, actually, in the army, it doesn't happen that way because it is finally a teamwork. So, there is no, yes, there is a leader, but there is nobody who is at like the center stage or who is like the center of attraction doing everything. So there is a certain hierarchy which is there. A hierarchy has to be followed. Like, even if the guy is one day senior to you, you have to call him sir, and that is how it works in the army. And there is a general perception about the army, mostly that you get to drink a lot, and you get cheap liquor, and you get a lot of freebies from the government. So that is a general perception which is there. But in reality, yes, we get the alcohol or liquor which is there at a cheaper rate, but we don't get time actually to consume it. So the lowest amount of alcohol maybe I would have had is when I was there in the army, because there are a certain set of physical exams also which you have to pass, and also the kind of work which is there. So you are on duty technically 24/7. So you can't be intoxicated or you can't consume alcohol like every day, and you know that people are looking at you. So if you are a senior officer or even if a junior officer, people are looking at you, people are learning from you, and if you have to lead those men tomorrow, you have to lead by example. So as an officer, if I'm standing tomorrow in front of a large public that drinking is bad, or if I'm telling them something that okay, you should not drink, this is bad for your health, so I should follow it in letter and spirit. Because even if I think that okay, I'm drinking in my room, everybody knows, because I'm going to the canteen, I am buying it, so the guy sitting in the canteen, he knows that I have bought, and people talk about it. So that is one perception which is there. Other perception is that we get things free from the government, but finally what we get is from the lowest bidder. So the kind the quality versus the price which is there, that obviously matters. Because and the quantities in which we get are also like we cannot consume it in normal days. Like the ration scale which we get, it is like we get 220 grams of rice for 3 meals. So 220 grams for 3 meals is very less quantity. So we have to buy our own things also, and compared to that, the salaries which we are given are not commensurate with what we get in civil. So that is one perception. But I never felt that I have got less salary, or salary part was something which I never thought about. Every month I am getting some money in my account from which I can manage my life and do my savings. So I was happy with that. But the main thing that is important, like it is shown in the movie also, that it's not about just me. because I am over there, I am busy with my lifestyle. But what the most important which is there is the person you are leaving behind, like probably your parents or your spouse
Mm.
or grandparents or whatever it is. So if you don't have a support from those people, your life will actually become hell. And I have seen a lot of officers facing those kind of things, especially when you are in field. So when I joined also, I directly joined in Jammu and Kashmir. And in 2012, 13 rather, when I was there in Jammu and Kashmir, there was the first beheading scene which happened, because of which the entire army was mobilized in that certain sector, and I got to see action upfront in just 3 months of my service. So that time also I used to just give a call to my parents or my mom or dad that okay, for the next 10 days I'll not be calling you, my phone will be switched off. So they never cross questioned me that okay, where are you going, because I had already told it I cannot disclose the location where I'm going, why I'm going. I'll just tell you that okay, I'm going to a certain place and I'll be back. So they also never questioned me that where are you going, why are you going, and all those things. So they were quite supportive. So that is the most important part. Like if you don't have somebody to irritate you constantly at home, then your life is really nice. But if there is someone who's like insecure or probably doesn't want to like constantly harassing you or maybe in that way, then your life actually becomes hell and you won't be able to live like that. Because there were times when you are out of coverage area, like even UB sir when he's posted, there might be times where he's not in coverage area, you just have no network. So that is where your partner or your
Right.
parents have to understand that okay, there he will try his best to communicate in some or the other way, but I don't have to pester him complete continuously that okay, you have not called me for 3 days, you're not called me for 8 days. So that is how you have to maintain that communication with your parents or probably your spouse. So having a,
Right.
yeah, that you have to develop also, like you have to keep on telling your parents and spouse that okay, this is what we have got into now, not just me but
Yeah.
together as a whole we have got into.
Yeah.
So it is very important to have that support from your partner or your parent.
Yeah. I think that's again, perception versus reality, right? If so, just to quickly summarize, this is what I heard, and feel free to correct me. But number one, it's not about you; it's about the whole team, right? It's about the whole army. It's about the whole philosophy, right? It's not. It's never about one person, which I sort
Yeah,
of now that you mention it makes sense. But you're absolutely right; it's not portrayed that way in any movies or any article or something, right? But
yeah,
that's yeah. Number one, it's not about you; it's about the whole. And then I think what you said is what's not highlighted is you really need to have a strong support system back home. You're always
yeah,
disconnected from your family, but you need to know that they're there and they support you. That really helps you. That again is not something that's highlighted. So thank you for that overview. That was awesome. Perception reality. The second question, again, I know there's only so much you can say and not say, right? Secrets and all. But
yeah,
Sanket, who is your closest brother-in-law,
yeah.
wanted me to ask you, what did you really do in the army? Right? So maybe you can
Yes.
give like a quick 2 minute overview of, to him.
Yeah. So in the army, like I was in artillery. So artillery basically deals with the all the long range weapons that you have, the Bofors, the 130 MMs and missiles and rockets. So I was a part of that arm, and during that most of my career of out of 11 years, you can say for 7.5 years I have been in the field itself, and just one piece posting for about 3 years, that too in two parts, in 2 years, 1 year. So most of my life has been in field. So initially for first I was commissioned, you can say, like when you join the first unit, that is called as commission. So I was commissioned in Kashmir itself. From Kashmir I moved to Gwalior, again with that same unit, artillery unit, where used to, in Jammu and Kashmir, yes, we used to have our small teams going on small operations which were given to artillery, since we are not the guys who are actually on the forefront like infantry. So they used to give us a little few operations, and we had been given a small part of the LC also to man. So that is what we were doing over there in Kashmir. And then I came to Gwalior. Gwalior, it was more about training and doing your exercises in Rajasthan, practicing, like being ready for war, as you say, and training yourself and doing getting your documentation right, because you're in the field. So your documentation parts take a back step, and There you get to be with your family, and maybe just a little bit of chill time you get in peace stations, where you are having your mess parties, New Year parties, and all those things. I volunteered for special forces after commissioning. So after 4.5 years, I went to special forces unit where I was for 4 years. Over there itself, I did my para jump. So I'm a certified paratrooper. Also, I have done around 17 jumps in both Ladakh and in other parts of India, like Northeast. I've done in Assam and Sikkim. In Ladakh, I have done a few jumps. I've done a few in Odisha. So a few jumps in Haryana also on the Indus banks which are there. So that I'm a certified paratrooper. I did a lot of operational stuff in special forces when I was there in Sikkim also, and in Ladakh also. So like I've been very fortunate that wherever I have gone, or probably wherever I have been, there has been some like Dokala when it happened initially in Sikkim, which was happened that there was a like we had a small fiasco with Chinese army in Dokala, which is there in Sikkim, Bhutan, and Nepal border. So I was there itself in Sikkim that time also. And when Doklam happened right now in Ladakh, so we were or Galwan thing which happened. So I had moved to Ladakh because of that. So I was there in that entire Galwan thing also. So I've been lucky enough to be a part of all these things. So I've learned a lot from that also. So other than that operational things, I have been playing sports in army also. Like I have been in part of all the sports. Again, one thing which I left in college because of the army, I got to do that. So I was part of played. So we have inter unit competitions also. So I have been a part of volleyball team. I learned basketball. I learned hockey. I learned football. Though I'm not a big fan of football, but I had to learn football. Like you have to play once you join the army. So I had to learn how to play football. Though I'm very bad at it, I thought that time I used to think that being the goalkeeper is like the most easiest thing. So initially I tried being a goalkeeper, but the pressure that the goalkeeper has. So then I decided to be a defender. That I'm fine with defender. You don't have to run a lot also, and you're not the goalkeeper also. But hockey I like
Okay.
really play good. So hockey I've played hockey also, and other than sports, I've not done like sports and operations. Basically, I've been in that only. I've been in training also, so I was a part of training team also, where we had designed a few new training routines and everything, and I have written a few military papers also on some topics.
What an incredibly fascinating journey. And we aren't done yet. Join me next week for the concluding part 2 of the interview, which covers how he met Shruti, including their very first phone conversation, which happened when he was serving in Kargil. It's an exciting story, and you don't want to miss it. I'm your host, Ameya Barvé. I will see you next time.